Well, Bajaj Auto is all set to disrupt the entry-level motorcycle segment. They've launched the world's first CNG motorcycle, the Freedom 125cc, you may call it, or the Freedom NG04. It's got a CNG tank and a petrol tank as well. The starting price of the motorcycle is 95,000 ex-showroom for the base variant. What a strategy with the CNG motorcycle. They've been working on it for the last 2.5 years. Who better to talk about this and the vision of the company than Rajiv Bajaj, the Managing Director of Bajaj Auto. Mr. Bajaj, thank you very much for joining us. This is your big bet for the future. You're the first mover in this space. What's your hope with the CNG motorcycle? What kind of market share or what kind of space in the two-wheeler segment do you want to capture?
Well, Parikshit, the fundamental strategy behind our business is that of differentiation. I'd like to believe we've been a company that's done things differently from time to time. And when I say differently, I mean it has to be relevant to the consumer and yet differentiated from the competition. I would say Pulsar was perhaps the first flag bearer of that. If you see what we've done with Pulsar after that, with KTM, with the Triumph, with the Chetak now in the electric avatar, with our three-wheelers. So I think, differentiation is the DNA of this company. And in keeping with that DNA, I think what we are about to do here is, this market, the Indian motorcycle market, is the biggest in the world, about 900,000 motorcycles every month, of which close to 700,000 motorcycles fall in the category of what we can broadly call as commuter motorcycles. These are not people who are touring or going off-road or, racing or something like this, but simply using it for their daily activities and to be more productive on a daily basis. Obviously, what pinches them hardest is the cost of fuel currently. We saw one inflection point like this in 1993 when fuel prices suddenly spiked. And that is what actually spurred the shift from two-stroke technology to four-stroke technology at that time. And India went from being a 70% scooter market to becoming a 70% motorcycle market. I have a feeling, I can feel it in my bones, that perhaps lightning is going to strike twice in this respect. Fuel at 110, 120 rupees a litre is really very expensive. And with our experience with the CNG three-wheelers, this technology is very well known to us. So we thought, why not a CNG motorcycle at a reasonable price that can address almost 700,000 people the option to buy something that can halve their cost of running the motorcycle.
Right. So by maybe the next 3 to 4 years, how much of the 700,000 segment do you want to capture? When you were speaking at the press meet earlier, you said you are a strong number 2 in the 125cc segment, but you're of course not satisfied with that. Where do you see yourself growing in the 125cc segment and the 700,000 commuter motorcycle segment, so you call, in this? What kind of share would you be targeting?
Well, it's difficult to hazard a guess, as in speculate a specific number. But our strategy, first and foremost, has been to focus on the 125cc plus space, within which, of course, 125 is the biggest space. In this space, we are a very close number 2. We have about 26-27% market share. And I think our goal has to be twofold. One, to keep growing the 125cc plus space at the expense of the 100cc space, which has been happening very rapidly in recent years. And then within that space, to acquire as much share as we can for ourselves, meaningfully in a profitable manner. So this is where this motorcycle is targeted, because it is a 125cc. And just to give you two numbers, today in cities that have adequate supply and availability of CNG, I'm told that 30% of cars are now, that are registered now, are CNG. And I know for a fact that 70% of our three-wheeler portfolio has become CNG. What used to be petrol and diesel has become CNG. 60% of this country's three-wheelers are now CNG. So, if you put those metrics to it, somewhere between 30% and 70% of 700,000, we are talking between 2 and 5 lakh motorcycles a month could become CNG over a period of time, And I'm not saying the Bajaj Freedom is going to sell all of that, but that's what the industry could be.
Right. So it is a big market, and you're the first mover there. Now, was it the Pulsar, the Chetak electric vehicle, or the CNG mic? If I were to ask you, what was your boldest bet ever? Out of these three, which one would be the boldest?
It's a very easy question for me because, you know, we did the Chetak in 2019. You mean the electric Chetak, right? And we are doing the CNG bike now. But both of these are being done in a situation where Bajaj is in a very strong position. You know, the last few years, you know, our domestic business, our exports business, our premium motorcycle business, and now, you know, even our three-wheeler business, all of them have done exceptionally well, and you can see the results in various financial terms or in terms of the stock price of the company. But Pulsar came at a time when the company was down and out. You know, not many people know, thankfully, that the financial year 99-2000 was the first time ever, and thankfully the last time, when Bajaj two-wheelers lost money. The only reason as a company we were not a loss-making company is because we had a three-wheeler business and a spare parts business that made money. We had no exports at the time, if you remember. So this was a shock for us, you know, because Bajaj Auto was quite a blue-chip company, and to suddenly be part of a company that was sinking that fast was terribly unnerving. So I would say the fact that we bet on the Pulsar at a time when the company was really at its lowest. And don't forget, there was no segment for motorcycles like Pulsar, almost at that time. You know, so again, we were creating a segment for ourselves, and then within that, we had to launch an all-new product from an all-new factory. So I would say, heads and shoulders, Pulsar was the boldest move this company has made.
So that was one probably which gave you sleepless nights at that time. Now, of course, you are moving into this segment again, creating a market for CNG motorcycles. What I would like to ask you is, when do you expect to break even? In what time period? Profit and revenue-wise and volume-wise?
I don't know exactly. I can say this, that with the electric vehicle, for example, just to contrast, it's a very long road. You know, we've come a long way since when we started 5 years back. And now we have some line of sight to profitability. I would still say it may be a year or two away till we have reasonable, acceptable profitability with electric vehicles. As opposed to that, where we are still bleeding, and I mean the scooter. You know, the three-wheeler is very, very profitable, the electric three-wheeler. The scooter is not yet. With the Freedom, there is no bleed at all. So we start off on a very good wicket. With the electric Chetak, with every vehicle, we are putting some money on the vehicle and giving it away. Here it is not the case. So every Freedom contributes to the corporate profitability. But certainly it is not at the level of the 20% EBITDA, which is the corporate EBITDA. So definitely it erodes that a little bit. But I would say that if CNG catches on the way we are hoping it will, it would be not beyond this financial year that we would be able to hit our capacity, which by that time could well be 40,000 motorcycles a month. And I would certainly expect that at that level, it should be as profitable as any other motorcycle we make.
All right, so you're expecting to sell at least 40,000 CNG motorcycles per month by the end of this fiscal year, FY25.
That's the capacity that we can ramp up to within this year. We are starting, as Rakesh mentioned, with 10,000, very quickly, hopefully move to 20, eventually to 40, by which time we would hopefully be in some of our overseas markets as well. But yeah, we would need to hit a capacity like that because this is an all-new development. We spent a lot of money in the technology, in putting up the facilities, etc. It's a new brand that will also take some money, some investing. So I would hazard that we would have to be at something close to 40,000 motorcycles a month to make the kind of money we make with our other motorcycles.
Right, and you're hoping to hit that by the end of this,
we should.
This FY.
As I said, I think it's a very large catchment area, so we should.
Okay. Now, in terms of the investments that you made in, this was a completely ground-up motorcycle. It required engineering, re-engineering of motorcycles. You had to fit in an entire 2 kg cylinder inside the motorcycle. So seat, the position of the engine, the fuel tank, everything had to change. Give us a sense of how much investment you had to make in designing, developing this vehicle, testing it, and now deploying it. So how much investment altogether?
Yeah, so it's a ground-up motorcycle, undoubtedly. But at the same time, what we do is, in our platform approach, the platform approach is not only something we apply to the product, it's something we apply to the process as well, which means that we have not gone and set up a new factory for the Freedom. There is no, it's made on the same assembly line, it goes through the same paint line, it employs the same welding robots, it employs the same machining centers as do the other ICE motorcycles we make. So a lot of the investment in that sense, the capex heavy kind of investment is generic. The specific investment that goes into welding fixtures or machining jigs, etc., these are new, and of course some tools and molds are new. So I can't give you an answer offhand, and frankly from a competitive point I wouldn't want to, but I can say that for this capacity it would certainly be a figure that is more likely to be in double digits in terms of hundreds of crores. So in double digits rather than in triple digits.
Right, double digits rather than triple digits. Now, we would also like to ask you, you've spoken about the production capacity, 10,000 currently. You're starting with Maharashtra and Gujarat first, and then deploying slowly to the rest of the country. Any thought behind that?
Well, it's an approach we followed, I think, with success with the Chetak as well, and with our electric three-wheeler. I think it's a prudent approach because when the technology is so new, there is much more to be done and managed than simply making and distributing the product. So what I mean is that first and foremost, our motorcycle dealers have not dealt with this technology before. So in the showroom, in the workshop, it's something which is new for many of them. Certainly we cannot assume that customers that come to buy the Freedom would be familiar with a CNG three-wheeler or a car. It may not be the case. So a lot of customer education will have to go into what this is about, what are the do's and don'ts, what to expect, what not to do, that sort of thing. We have to also see the customer experience when he goes to fill fuel. We hear stories about long queues, and consumers can get very frustrated with that. We've had those experiences with our three-wheeler before. So we have to work also with the ecosystem that supports the CNG. So I think the idea to start with Maharashtra and Gujarat is because there is a fairly dense availability of CNG. It is right under our nose. So we get some experience for the first 2-3 months and then very quickly expand from there.
How do you expect this to contribute to your export story? Exports is the strength of Bajaj Auto. What percentage of exports do you expect from this motorcycle?
Again, I wouldn't have a number for you today, but as Rakesh explained earlier, whether it's in Africa today, for our three-wheeler, for example, LPG or CNG are attractive options that are growing in popularity in, say, big markets like Nigeria or Tanzania. In Bangladesh, for example, right after this launch, I have a message from our distributor in Bangladesh saying, please tell me when can I place an order. So obviously there is some latent traction there, at least as he perceives it. I know in other countries like Cambodia, LPG could be an attractive option, and frankly with this motorcycle, if we can put in a CNG tank, we can put in an LPG tank, And similarly in the LATAM countries, I'm told in Peru or Argentina, again CNG is popular. So I do know that there is a lot of potential, a lot of interest in a product like this for overseas markets, but exact numbers I wouldn't be able to say today.
Right. Your colleague said in the press meet that there are 4 to 5 patents already registered for CNG motorcycles. Does this mean one new CNG motorcycle per year? And considering if this motorcycle is successful, could we see another CNG motorcycle being launched within this fiscal?
Okay, so I will answer in 2 parts. From a brand point of view, I would say that there isn't going to be immediately a second brand of CNG motorcycle. We will stick with Freedom and we will build this brand like we are building the Chetak as our electric scooter brand or Pulsar as our sports motorcycle brand, for example. But Certainly, it is again a platform. So there is no reason why from a 125cc platform or from a platform that we have made 125cc to start with, tomorrow, can we make a 100cc? Of course we can. Can we make a 150cc? Of course we can. Are we going to make another one soon? Of course we are going to. So there will be more motorcycles of different displacements, of different styles coming off the same platform, but not like in the next 2 or 3 months, but every few months or once a year, as you say, certainly we are going to do this.
All right, so one new motorcycle every year. So would you also say, as you said, that you would like to probably target the 100cc buyer as well with this, and maybe target Hero MotoCorp where it is strongest. So would you say that this is your answer to Hero MotoCorp? Inside, when you were speaking to everyone, you were remembering how in 1997, Hero MotoCorp had surpassed Bajaj Auto in sales, and you were recounting a story about Brij Mohan Lal Munjal. So do you feel that today this is your answer to Hero MotoCorp?
Well, our target was obviously not Hero MotoCorp, but when we are targeting the commuter space, right, where they are the leader, then, definitely this motorcycle has to do well, first and foremost at the expense of products like Splendor, Super Splendor, Glamour, etc. And yes, I was telling people this story, Hero Honda, as it was called then, as I said, due to the fuel price and the advantage of the 4-stroke, their motorcycles really took off after 1993. And in 4 years, 4 or 5 years, 97, 98 at some time, Hero Honda went past Bajaj Auto in the domestic market to become the #1 two-wheeler company. And I'm told that Brij Mohan Lal ji, for whom I have the highest regard, and I believe he was very fond of me as well, he was somewhere in the south. There was a dealer conference of Hero Honda dealers, and they were congratulating him for this achievement. And Brij Mohan Lal ji was a very, very grounded, centered, very humble, modest person. So I am told by one of our dealers who happened to be there somehow, that he thanked everyone and said to them that, but you have to be careful of Bajaj now because they are like a wounded tiger. So that is why I said in jest that freedom ka paigam hai ye, tiger abhi zinda hai.
All right, so that's probably your answer to all new entrants in the market as well. But do you think that at the current level of taxation, can CNG actually become popular? Is that your worry as well? Currently, the price of CNG is about 75 to 76 rupees a kg. If you speak about a litre of petrol, it would be 90, 95 rupees or maybe 100 rupees in some cities. Is there a worry that maybe it's not so much of a fuel option which is attractive right now? Yes, it's a good environmental option, but maybe not a good fuel proposition as yet?
So I would say that, again, I go back to my experience in 93. What the 4-stroke products did was to halve the running cost of those who were using 2-stroke scooters and motorcycles. The CNG motorcycle, the Freedom, promises exactly that. That if you buy this, instead of buying a petrol-powered 100 or 125cc motorcycle, whether ours or somebody else's, this will once again halve your running cost, i.e. in 12 to 18 months, it will pay back for itself. And then for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years that you have the motorcycle, you're just adding savings to yourself. So I think the proposition in that sense is very strong. It's exactly the same proposition that our 3-wheeler offers. But beyond the numbers, I think what is also equally important in equal measure is the sentiment or the emotion or the psychology of the consumer. People are extremely concerned that today fuel is 110, 120 rupees a litre petrol. Tomorrow it could be 150. Who knows which way the world is headed? And if I buy a motorcycle, I'm stuck with it for the next 5 years. Do I really want to be vulnerable in that sense, as opposed to buying an electric or a CNG vehicle today, and then I'm free, and that's why the name Freedom. Unfortunately, with electric vehicles, there is still a lot of concern around safety, charging, and battery replacement, none of which apply to the CNG motorcycle.
Right. So I'll take we have 5 or 6 minutes more to go, so I'm going to take a rapid set of questions now. What next after Freedom CNG motorcycle? Could there be maybe an ethanol-powered motorcycle? Could there be a hydrogen motorcycle? What does Rajiv Bajaj have up his sleeve? You wouldn't like to tell us, but
no,
maybe give us a hint.
I can share with you that we are working in the general direction of flex fuel. Not only because Gadkari ji is very strong on that, and we have assured him that in terms of motorcycles and three-wheelers, we'll be ready with flex fuel solutions very soon. But also because, last week we opened our plant in Brazil, and the kind of fuel that is required there, blended fuel. So we have to modify our engines and be ready for that. So I think this whole move, it doesn't matter whether it's ethanol, methanol, CNG, LPG, whatever it is, but this general direction to move to clean air with clean fuels, with clean energy, certainly we are going to put our shoulder to it very strongly.
So when you speak about a flex fuel vehicle for that matter, I'm assuming you're immediately talking about ethanol,
right,
in the range of E20 to E80.
Exactly.
By when can we expect that?
I think it's just a matter of months. We are very close to being production ready.
All right, very close. So it could be launched, it will be launched within this fiscal.
It should be, yeah.
Right. In terms of the e-rickshaw, you had said that that's coming up. Any clarity on that?
The status is the same as last time. So in fact, I can share with you that Gadkari ji said to me this morning, I want to see your e-rickshaw. And so when he came and went around looking at our facilities briefly, he rode in that for a bit. He seemed to like it. And as I said to you last time, I think early in the next fiscal, we should be ready to go to market. And I think we are looking good for that.
All right, early next fiscal. Now, my final two questions are, in terms of your premium motorcycles, what is the current order bank you're looking at currently? I'm talking about the Triumph, the Pulsars, right, all your bikes put together. And what is the capacity ramp up and the demand that you're looking at?
So the big picture, Parikshit, would be that, in this KTM, I would put Triumph, and I would put Dominar, and I would put our big Pulsar, the Pulsar NS400Z. And if you look at our total of domestic and exports, it's typically about 10-12,000 for KTM, almost 7-8,000 for, or say 6-7,000 for Triumph, about 15,000 between the Dominars and the Pulsars. So we are between 30 and 40,000 a month now, depending on the month, in a segment where we were almost non-existent, and where, if I may say, the market leader Royal Enfield is perhaps 70,000 domestic plus exports. So we are almost at half the level of Royal Enfield. I think that's a good place to be. It's a very profitable segment, and we have a lot of action coming. I can't tell you specifics, but within this fiscal, and in Q3 and Q4, you will see some amazing new KTMs that will create new categories actually, and you will see one or two launches from the Triumph badge, and you should see some more interesting stuff in the Bajaj brand as well. So a lot of action in this space.
So you mean higher capacity than 400cc maybe?
Not higher capacity, I can candidly say no, but some really nice new motorcycles.
All right, new premium motorcycles coming in. And what about the capacity ramp up for Chetak coming along? How is that coming along?
I hope at the end of this month I can tell you that we have done 20,000 vehicles, which is what I was saying the last time we were endeavoring to do. And now we are actively planning to double this to 40,000. It will take some time. I can't tell you right now how long, but we feel very confident. So we've hit 20,000, which was our first stop, and now we are actively working to double capacity to 40,000 Chetaks a month. This will be supported next year by, as I told you last time, a all-new Chetak. A second Chetak will join the Chetak family. So I'm very excited about that.
Right. Finally, you always leave us with a headline and a surprise. Anything new in terms of product or your 10-year vision for the company that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah. The last time we met for the launch of the NS400, I think it was in May, a couple of months ago. I'm not going to tell you what, but somebody made a suggestion of something quite outrageous towards the end of that launch meet and said, "Sir, why don't you do this?" And I said to him, "Okay, we'll think about it." So we've started off on that project. It's a very exciting project. I'm not going to... if you go back and look in your records, you might find something.
Please give us a hint. The viewer watching may not have seen the last interview.
Next time. For now, we will leave it at that. But something very discontinuous. Hopefully, I can share more details with you soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bajaj, for joining us and giving us your strategy on how you are diversifying your portfolio, making sure you're not deploying one particular strategy and working hard towards the flex fuel options apart from the EV strategy. Thank you once again for being with us here on CNBC TV 18. Wonderful talking to you. That's all we have time for here on this special broadcast from Bajaj Auto's plant in Akuti, Pune. Back to you.
Richard, hi, can you hear me?
Hello there.
Yeah.